So, Emma, how are you doing?
Good, man. Good to have you in New York.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We are in all these different places.
I know, right?
And so I wanted to interview you starting a new channel because I realized that I have so many amazing friends around me that are changing the world really. And I wanted to bring more life and human nature in entrepreneurship. And
Yeah,
that's what I want us to discuss for like 10, 15 minutes.
absolutely. That's a great idea, and I think it will benefit the world a lot.
Okay. Can you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about you and your dreams and maybe your vision, what you've been doing in the past?
Well, in a very simple way, I like to describe myself as a product of the tech enthusiast. Many of my friends know me as the guy who builds stuff, and it's interesting. Yeah, but my passion and background has mostly been in finance and technology, mostly on the product side. My dream is to build something very disruptive that doesn't exist in the world. Over the past few years, there are so many technologies, there are so many innovations that have disrupted the world, and moved the world to a better place than we used to be. And I want to create something that would be that next thing that would have that mode, that would change the world in a way. So yeah, that's my vision, but more within the financial sector.
And so, in the process of doing that, so we've known each other for a few years now. We've been into different things. Uh, what have been your biggest challenges or the biggest gaps that you had to jump when you had to spread your wings in the literal sense, spreading like letting things go? How did that happen?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest gaps and challenges have always been, finding the most relevant people around you to work with, and then also the most relevant resources. And when I talk about resources, it's not just about money. It's mostly the right people, the right tools, and then also, to some extent, also the money. And I realized that if you don't have all these things aligning, or you don't have a combination of all these things aligning, you could have one, but it wouldn't work out as well until you have everything, perfectly aligned to be able to complement one another or each other to be able to get you to where you have to be.
And so, in terms of the things you have done to find the right people, you have some bad experiences or things that you got burnt maybe in the past. You don't have to be names,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to product shame people here.
Yeah, I've had a lot of like, as a product and technology person, I've had a lot of relationships, especially working with a lot of teams to build, solution. And one of the things you find yourself doing is working and managing people. I've actually led very large teams. I've led small teams, and I've inspired a lot of people. Also, work together with a lot of people in order to achieve great and small things. One of the challenges I did find, working with people, and my advice would be, is never take anybody for their word. And when you're doing business or whenever you're trying to assemble the team to deliver anything, look at value for those who can deliver, and not people who just come with accolades of I have this degree, I have this, aspiration, I have this knowledge. Always look at tangibility. Always look at, experience, because when somebody has the experience doing something, it becomes easy for the person to, repeat and do that same thing over and over. And I like to always, compare. I like to always compare the these two things. Someone who is a consultant and someone who is a contractor. Now, a consultant comes to give you an advice as to how to do something, but a contractor is somebody you hire to do the stuff, to build something, right? So when you think about it from that analogy, if you're looking at somebody who will give you a million ideas as to how something can be built, or how something can be created, or how something can be made, well, everybody has an idea, right? But when it comes to execution, that's why you hire contractors. That's the guy who has the knowledge as to, okay, it's not just an idea, but this is how you do it. This is the bolt, this is the screw, this is this is that. You put this here, you bring this, and then you're able to build whatever you imagine. So there are people who can dream, but dreaming is just one thing. The building is another thing. So that's why you need both to go hand in hand, right? The fact that you can dream something doesn't mean you can build it. You have to hire people who have the expertise, who have the practical knowledge in order to be able to execute.
I see. That's very interesting around the expertise and the experience, and being able to reduce the risk as well. But I want to challenge you. How do you give your chance to students or younger people that might have the energy, for example, but they don't have all the stuff to talk about? You can tell when someone has the energy, but it's just a rough time. How do you manage that?
Absolutely. I love this question. And I was giving a recent grad out of school this advice. He's an engineer. He's working with one of the large tech companies globally. And, he's dreaming about, doing his master's certification and everything. And I was like, that can only take you, to some extent, but it won't get you to the ideal place that you were dreaming of. And he was sharing, some of his dreams with me. Now, what I do tell, students and, pretty much anybody who is looking at becoming that achiever but doesn't have that expertise and skill set at the moment is be willing to work for free. Now, in order to build that knowledge or get to, that space where you are that expert, you have to understand from yourself what you're passionate about. Really, if you don't start with where your passion lies and what you want to, really do, what you care about and what you really want to do, you're going to end up working for the money. You're going to end up chasing things that, it's all about, okay, how much am I going to make from this? That's, just to take care of certain things at the moment. But when you're thinking about dreams and being an expert in the field, it has to be where your passion really is, what you really aspire to be. Now, from that point of view, once you establish that, the next phase is, okay, how am I going to grow myself? Be willing to be, that fool for some, quote unquote, the fool for, the first few months or years to be able to acquire it. Be at the foot of the highest person in the food chain who knows it. Follow the person, whether close or from afar. For instance, you admire somebody who has achieved a great fit in engineering, has built stuff, has resilience. Maybe you admire Elon Musk. You don't need to be close to Elon Musk. You don't need to be working with him to be able to follow him. Read books that he's written. Look at examples of how he achieved what he achieved, and find somebody within your circle who has had that tangible, skill set or experience that can guide you through, right? So that's how I advise that, young people or, people who are fresh out of school, who want to acquire the skill set, who want to build that, experience. That's how I advise that you have to do. You start from the basics, make sure that you don't cut corners. You learn. In order to gain experience, you have to learn everything from detail. You can't learn it half and half, right? Yeah, so that would be my advice.
And the thing is that you said something very interesting around working for free. So when I started, I had one of my mentors that told me that when you work for free for someone, you need to assess everything because you're not being paid. So you need to work even more and ask all the financials, all the details, give me all the phone numbers because that's the business equity. And people tend to look at that from the other way and say, okay, so we work for you only if you give me this. But that's the opposite, actually. Give me as much so that you increase the rate of learning.
No, absolutely. And there's this one trick, not more of a trick, but one thing I take our interns through when we are hiring interns, the first thing I ask them is, are you willing to pay the company because you are coming to acquire skills and knowledge? So just as you are in school paying fees to be able to acquire knowledge, this is acquiring tangible, real life skill set that's going to benefit you more than the theoretical knowledge that you would be, learning in school.
That
So
they pay you already.
the first thing is, are you willing to pay for such a knowledge or for such a training? Then they sit back and they're like, hmm. So a couple of people will be like, yes, I value this so much as my passion. That is when I know that there's something in them. And we've had a lot of people who took pay cuts. We've had a lot of people who, have left great, already established companies, and they saw what we are building, and they're like, I want to be part of this.
Yes. And I think that is key. Being deliberate, being willing to pay for your training, understanding the value. And even you as a leader, that's a tricky question asking someone if they are willing to pay for your service. Because if they are not, it might mean that you are not teaching them enough. You only have money exchange, but you want to be at a level of excellence and expertise where people feel like, wow, I want to buy your stuff.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you as we close right now.
Yeah.
So where do you get your next $1 million?
Well, as you know, I'm into payments now, and actually, I'm not targeting the next billion. I'm trying to hit the next. So I'm not targeting the next million. I'm trying to hit the next billion, and I'm trying to do that by localizing global payments.
Okay. Talk to me about, because I know you are in fundraising as well, and while we are doing that, it wasn't the plan of talking about your business, but talk to me about Sika, because I'm sure that there are some people that we work with build that might be interested in hitting you with some cash, maybe.
Yeah. So very simple. Our vision at Sika is to localize global payment, and one thing I do say is, I do say to a lot of people when I tell them, about the vision and what we're trying to build or what we've built is, think about paying for, coffee or paying for street food in whichever country you live in, right? You can just go pull out cash and pay, or, use the most predominant or popular payment method in your country, be it a wallet, mobile money, card, or bank account to pay for any service that, in the streets or wherever you are in your country. Now think about it for global platforms like Netflix. How do you pay for your Netflix subscription? You're restricted to paying with card, and you're restricted to paying in USD.
Yeah.
Now, when you do that, you're being left at the mercy of your bank, your issuing bank, to be able to, convert that money, because you keep your monies in your local currency unit, maybe rupees or naira or CDs or whatever currency that is. But what we are building is we're giving liberty and freedom to consumers globally to be able to pay for their services in their local currency unit, and then also pay with their most preferred payment method. So the guy in India can pay with with Paytm. The guy in Kenya can pay for Netflix with with M-Pesa, and pay in shillings, and so on and so forth. So it really translates the experience of the user on global platforms to a localized experience, where they don't feel the difference between buying something on a global platform like Amazon or subscribing to a service like Netflix, different from going to buy coffee from a shop down the street.
And I guess that with this activity, that's even cheaper for the person that pays, because they don't have to pay the FX.
Exactly, they don't have to pay the FX. They see it in the local currency unit, they just pay, and they pay with where they store their money. That's it.
And they know exactly what comes out of their bank account.
Yeah.
No, Emma, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Pleasure, man.
You're one of the brightest, and I'm glad that we've been able to.
I'm humbled, man.
And now we need to. I'm going back to Accra, because the thing is that it's too cold for me.
I know, right? Yeah. Pleasure, man. Pleasure, man. Looking forward to doing this many more times.
Yeah. So it's the first video for the channel, but I'm very happy to have Emmanuel here, that has done amazing things and counting. So more power to you.
More power to you, and safe trip back.
Thank you. Hello, Emma.
All right.
That's a test. That's a test.
Yeah, that's mine.